From the drink in my head to the drugs in my system, programmed to only call you when I'm mad. Take care of myself.
All right, so apparently there's been no audio for this entire time, and I hope there's audio now. It seems to be so. I'm gonna go double check. What do you think? Do you just want to restart the entire podcast, or what do you think? Because I have all that recorded over there. What do you think?
Right. Oh no, it's up to you. Whatever you think is best. I'm down for whatever.
We're gonna go back into the song that we had just done. So let's make sure that everything is working now.
Oh, that's my mom commenting on
Okay, it's all working now. All right, well, it's not the first time something has gone wrong on this podcast, and it sure won't be the last.
Yeah, we're rolling with the punches.
We're rolling with the punches, and for those who are curious, I'll re-upload all of the stuff with the cutout audio because I do have I cover my butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it saved over here, so
Right.
all of that will be re-uploaded at some point, maybe today or tomorrow. But for those who are just tuning in, we were talking about your song, your first release that you've ever released, which is called Take Care.
Take Care. Yep.
And so let's redo that story again and go back into it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so glad everybody can hear now. So my first single, Take Care, it was something that I wrote about a relationship I was in a long time ago, and they had been unfaithful to me, and I had found out during an evening that I was out with friends, and I remember someone I was friends with at the time, I had called them. I was upset telling them about this experience, and they were on the phone with me, and they were like, Ani, I'm so sorry, but the things you're saying to me would be great lyrics. Like, you should really write these down. And so I'm like outside crying, typing these into my notes, super dramatic, but on brand for me. And the next day, again, this is like the beginning, it's probably like 2018ish, so like the beginnings of me playing the piano. And I come up with like some simple, chord progression that I recorded and sent to my friend that told me to type the lyrics. She's also a musician. And she sent back to me this video of my song in this, a little bit of a different arrangement. And I really fell in love with it. And I really just spent time finishing the song and, reworking what I wanted. And then after that, towards the end of the summer, I took the song to a producer named J. Fritz Schaefer, and he is a producer that works out of Reading, a studio called Pagoda City. And at the time, I was managing my friend's album release, actually, so I had known him, but in a different, more businessy context. And so I went to him and I said, I have the song. I really would love to record it. I don't have any music out. I think this is the song that I want to release. That's like, this is Ani Mae,
Mm.
And so we went in the studio, we recorded it, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I spent more time figuring out the instrumentation that I wanted, who I wanted to play on it. And then I'm trying to think. Sure, I don't know how long after that. I know I released that song in 2020, but so it was a long process. But anyway, so finally I was able to, come to conclusion of a song that I was in love with, all the instruments, all the writing. And I released that, and like Take Care, I think I released that song September 4th, 2020. And that really that was like my entrance into music, so.
So let's take a listen now that you all can hear.
Yeah.
Ani Mae's Take Care.
Take two.
Take care of myself. I call you. You don't answer, I care for myself. once I've crossed the line. Call you twice, warm love turned to cold ice. From the drink in my head to the drugs in my system, programmed to only call you when I'm mad. Take care, take care, take care, take care of myself. I call you. Said I miss you, can I see you this weekend? And you said, right, at 1:45 a.m. So I took care of myself. I called you, you didn't answer, I cared for myself. So I wiped my face and I dried my tears, said goodbye to the pain and farewell to my dear. Through all the years, I took care of myself.
That was Take Care by Ani Mae. And so that was your first release. What are some of the things that you learned a lot about during this? Because it took a while. It's a whole 2 years for you
Yeah,
to get it out.
it was a process.
What were some of the things that you really learned about yourself as a musician, yourself as a producer, I guess, on this, and then
Right.
yourself as a business woman?
Yeah. So, for myself, I think I learned that when I'm writing a song, I need and have an inspiration, the song needs to be finished within like 3 days, or I'm not finishing the song. Like that's just a rule of thumb for me. I wish it wasn't true, but
Like lyric wise, or
lyric
okay,
wise, I always start with lyrics. And I just like I'll be inspired and I'll write a chorus or maybe something that's a verse or just a section of a song, right? And then it's like 2 days later, I'm like over it and I'm fine. But then like I don't find my way back to the song. And that's kind of what happened with Take Care. Um the I think it was maybe like verse one or some one of the verses came like really organically to me.
Mm.
And then um, I kinda walked away from it, and when I went to finish it, it was like I had to, like, put myself back in that, like, emotional space that I was in, and it was hard, and I
Mhm.
don't like, nobody likes to go through something, get over it, and then, like,
Go back
it's
into it.
weird, yeah, like,
Yeah.
to even do like, that's such a weird thing to do that obviously, like, a lot of musicians and songwriters and anybody with any art form that draws from their own personal experiences does, but I'd rather not. So, I need to when I write a song, I need to write it and finish it. So, that was one thing I learned, and that I use now. Like, I really do try, if I am writing a song, to stay in that space as long as I can so that I can get to the end and then start to get over it if it was something, like, upsetting. Um, as a producer, I learned that I just work so well with people, and
Mm.
I love working with all different kinds of people. I love showing someone something, like a musician something, and asking, their opinion on it, like what they hear. I love that. I was nervous that, because it's like your song, your music, I was nervous that when I went in, I'd be like, I don't want to hear anybody's opinion. Like, I just want to do what I want to do. And I learned that like I'm the complete opposite. Like, I'm like, oh, like, do you hear a piano part here? Like, do you hear other keys here? Like, I love to hear other people's opinions. And as long as it's an open conversation and we're open to knowing
Right.
these are all ideas, let's be sensitive to those, but also ultimately like respect the fact that, this is my song. Maybe I won't like that.
Mhm.
And that's been my experience. And it's been really awesome. Like I love working with people. It's honestly probably the most exciting part to me of writing the song. Like I write it by myself, the foundation of the song. But then when we really get to like the bits and pieces and the nitty-gritty, I love having the other musicians that I'm working with, or I've only worked with Jay so far as a producer, having his opinion too.
Sweet. So, and you've released a few others since then.
So I released Take Care and then I released at 23. And those are like my two singles that I've released.
Mm.
Anything else, there's like 2 or 3 other songs on there are basically just features with other artists that I worked with. So
We'll get to the features in a second, but I want to hear about At 23.
yeah. So at 23 was a song that when I drew inspiration from it, I wrote it really quickly. Like that song was written. I think I started on it in the evening and finished it the next day. Lyrics all the way through. And it was the kind of thing where I don't know if you're familiar with um, Taylor Swift's All Too Well 10-minute version, but it's a song where it's like she had written so many verses that she had to cut it down to like 3-minute song, right? Well, that was kind of my experience with that 23. Um, and so basically back in 2021, I just had some health issues come up that were kind of scary. And for a while, the doctors thought that everything was pointing to cancer, but they couldn't get an answer. That rhymed weirdly. And it was scary, because you never know with that. Some
Yeah, that's
illnesses like that
terrifying.
are, yeah, terminal, so you don't know. And so, but I felt because I didn't have a diagnosis, I felt kind of like silly being like, oh, I'm so scared. Like, what if I'm going to die? I don't know. And so when I wrote this song, it was kind of like, this is everything I'm feeling right now, and I'm really scared. Um, but I'm just every day trying to get through this. And luckily, that was maybe like a year and a half long process. It turned out not to be cancer, which thank God, I'm really thankful. And since then, I've been able to just receive proper treatment and figuring out, my health. And it's still a journey that I'm on, but it's a lot less scary and it's a lot less intensive. It was hard. It was like my senior year of college. I was in and out of surgeries and it was
Not to
it
mention
was
the whole thing
scary.
that
But
happened.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that shall not be named,
Yeah,
that
right.
was just like it was a lot. But at 23, it's just that song just means everything to me. And what was really cool is I chose to release that song on the day of it was one of the surgeries where they would actually find out if, there was some type of cancer or something in my body. And so I released that and then that way when I woke up from surgery, regardless of what they found, at least I would wake up and I'd be like, I released a song, like a song is out. And
There's some
luckily it
light.
was yes, and it was a win-win because there was no cancer and I released a song. And so it was great. And I got just an overwhelming amount of support from just family and friends because the song was so personal. So,
Well, let's check it out. This is At 23 by Ani Mae.
yeah.
These sad love songs, they don't do it for me anymore. I miss certain parts of me, not someone else anymore. And I found hope in my own arms, and now they're filled with scars. And bandages is the enemy. And I know it's alchematic, but I didn't know what they would say on that day in January. And I spend most nights kind of my mom, who I know loves me so, but she can't take the pain away. So with my heart held heavy my morning, ready I tell myself I'll be okay, I'll be okay, I'll be okay. Doctor's in the hallway, and I can hear him say, does she wanna have babies? Will she be okay? It's probably nothing, it could be something. It's a lot bigger than we thought. We need to schedule now to get this out. She's so young, how could it be at 23? This is a life of uncertainty, and certainly I'm grateful for it, and I wouldn't change it, even if I could. A life God created, eternity just for me at 23.
And that was Ani Mae's at 23. So you talked a little bit about featuring on other people's stuff. What was that like for you? How did you even find that opportunity, and what was that like?
Yeah. So my first feature was with a musician named Hunter McNally, and we recorded our song called Space, which is out everywhere. And that was a very interesting experience because we met like the beginning of the year of 2020, and then we decided we were talking about writing a song together the end of February 2020. And as you know, like 2 weeks later, whole world shuts down, no one can see anyone, and so here we are with like this written song, but we have no way to be together to record it. And also, like, this at this point, this is my second semester at Millersville. I have like a USB microphone, like no interface. Like I don't have anything to record anything. And so
You're in the beginning, and you're broke.
yes, all right. Like I'm like, and it's not like I could go to a studio anyway.
Right.
And so I remember me and Hunter, we would FaceTime and we would, uh talk through the music of the song, how we wanted it to be. And then the plan originally was, because we thought this would be over in 2 weeks, turned into 2 years. to just wait it out and then record it together because he had equipment that we could do or like record it at school or whatever because there's a studio there. But then it obviously wasn't like that. 2 weeks turned into a month to 6 months to whatever. And so, but before we maybe waited like 2 weeks. And I remember Hunter was like, listen, like, if you just have a mic, at that point I had Logic because I needed it for school, and can just record. He's like, I'll send you some instrumental to sing to or whatever. But if you can just record these vocal parts for me, um, it's okay. Like, we can mix it and we'll make it sound good. Cause I was like, I don't have the equipment. I don't
Right.
know how to do this, And so I did that and I recorded it at home and I figured out how to separate the stems from the project and sent them to him. And yeah, that's how we made the song. It's just virtually. And that was like my first ever presence on the internet of my name being out there attached to a song was this feature I did with Hunter. Um, and yeah, so that was a really cool experience for me.
So, where did the second one come out of?
So that was with my friend. His name is Brady Spangler, but his artist name is Birds. It's Byrds. And he makes a lot of like electronic pop music, and I love pop music so much. But I didn't write pop music. It wasn't the kind of music where like I was like gonna release, I don't know, maybe one day, but at the time release like a pop project. But I remember him asking me if I wanted to do a song with him, and I remember being like, I don't really make music like that. Like, I don't think
Right.
so. And then he asked me again because Brady is persistent. And so where he was living at the time, he had just like a studio set up. And so I remember I went over there, and that was really different for me because that was like sitting in a room with the artist and writing the lyrics. How it was with Space, that was a song of two people back and forth about a relationship. So I wrote my parts, like there was no like writing it with, Hunter. And so that was an experience for me. And I quickly realized that trying to write a song or lyrics with someone is just so intimate and
Yes.
intimidating. And that took like a couple sessions for us to get those lyrics because I just remember the first one or two, it was so hard for me to like open up or throw out a lyric idea. And like the idea of it being shot down is so like, oh, like, but you quickly get over that. And
Right, of
so,
course.
yeah, that's what happened there. And it was neat because a lot of the basis of that song, it was like just some held out piano chords, which works so well for me. Like that's the best thing for me to write to. It would have been hard if it was like a beat or something. I just can't. So, we wrote everything. Then Brady built the rest of the song, produced the rest of the song, and then I came back to record the vocals for that. And that song's called Rewind. And I did another feature with him and Kiana Corley, who lives in LA now, pursuing music.
That's what I say. I just had her mother on the other day, Maria.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really neat. Yeah, she's a singer too. And Kiana's super talented, but they had this song together called Drive Through. And they wanted like another feature. And so I just kind of helped like put some of the lyrics together of the verse that I'm on. And then I just recorded that vocal part. And then that came out on one of Brady's EPs.
So is that something you want to go down the route of more of collaboration and stuff like that? Or
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I love collaborating. Now that I got over the hump or the hunch of like being scared to write with people, now I can't wait, And there's a couple people that I've been talking with that are some local musicians about collaborating with that I'm very excited to
no
delve
name
into
drops?
that journey. Not yet, just
Okay, I
because
was gonna
nothing
say,
is
yeah,
final.
right.
So
Because I was going to say I might know a few.
yeah, no, you would absolutely know.
So also you want to so while you're doing the collaborations, you also kind of want to pursue artist management.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of what you went to college for a little bit.
Yes, yeah. So when I started at Millersville, I was pretty dedicated to the idea of managing artists. That was my focus. There's obviously so many jobs in the industry that makes it run.
Mm.
But to me, that was like the dream to manage artists and then pursue music on the side. And I remember I was taking this music business class, and I learned really quickly that contractually, it's a huge conflict of interest to be an artist manager, but then also be an artist yourself. Um, because there's something in a lot of like contracts when you manage artists. Um, and it's basically about like you'll do everything in your power to make sure that they get the opportunities that they need. And it's like this good faith clause, right? And so it's the idea that say that there's an artist that I was managing. I didn't really know them. We developed the relationship through us working together. And I was also pursuing my own music on the side. There could be the opportunity for them to view me pursuing music on the side and taking opportunities for myself as me taking away opportunities that were fit
Competition.
for them. Yeah. And it makes sense. It really does. But my dreams of being an artist manager were really like crushed at that point, and I learned so much in school, don't get me wrong, but I really spent so much time just exploring the other jobs in the industry and things I would want to do. But nothing ever quite landed like artist management did. There was at a time an artist that I managed for a while. I managed two product projects for them. It was their debut album and then an EP. And I loved the whole process of that. But ever since then, I hadn't really done anything with it. And so um, I do have some friends in a band that, things are kind of picking up and it's a lot of work. And so nothing super final yet, but I'm hoping that that's an opportunity where I can explore, managing a band or an artist because I already have a relationship with them. They
Mhm.
know that I wouldn't be slimy and take the opportunities from them. So,
So what is it like to manage a project or an album? I've never heard that kind of side of the business
mhm.
before. So what all goes what all goes into that?
Yeah. So, a lot of it is really just taking any so for the artist, obviously they're recording an album that's like an emotionally draining, physically draining in every way type of process can be at times. And so just to take anything that has to do with the process of recording the album and taking that on yourself so that they can just like come to the studio, sing, play, and leave, right? And so even when we were in the studio, it even came down to like if there was, you know, we were listening to a take of something and it was like, you get like listener's ear and everything sounds the same. If it was just me and even like the artist would step out and it's like, okay, like I'll come into, the studio with the producer and we'll listen to this. I don't it's hard to explain because it's so, specific to the artist and depending on the level, which obviously I was just doing it independently. It's not, something where I was getting paid or something. It was just something that I was trying to do for experience. Um, or even just, getting pictures in the studio for promo or looking up venues for them to perform at or, finding musicians to come and play on their projects for the part that they wrote. Just different things like that that are a lot of the work that goes into making an album that could kind of alleviate pressure for them. I remember one thing we did was they wanted a choir on their one song. And so and it was like my first year at Millersville and I was in choir. And so I got a ton of my choir people together and we got a date set and it was like the last Saturday before everybody went home for break. And so it was like very vital. And we all gathered and it was me, the artist, the producer, and another producer working on the project. And we, drove down to Millersville. They let us use the dance studio and we just recorded their, choir part right there. Um, Took everything back and it was a really beautiful project. And but even just down to like coordinating that, and buying all the singers donuts, like that was
Right.
just my job. And I loved every part of it because just to be instrumental in anything that has to do with music when you're in love with music is rewarding, so.
I always love using that pun.
Yeah.
Being instrumental.
I did not even think about it that way, but
I always saying that because it's always funny to me.
yeah.
And I'm a man of puns. So you're kind of looking into the future. The world has opened up again. You're getting a lot of opportunities from a lot of places. You're working at Mickey's Black Box. What has that been like? A lot of cool people come through there.
Yeah, so it's really cool there. I really just had reached out to them at the end of last summer. I had been interning at Telus 360, and I was looking, for somewhere to work in music, and they just had some part-time positions open, which with music, it doesn't matter what part you're working in, you're gonna meet people, you're gonna advance. And so it was just like this box office ticket selling position. So I took that in like September of last year, right? And then as I started working there more, it was like, hey, are you interested in, drafting some posts for our social media or learning how to input dates on the back end of our website, or like, here, Ani, like, why don't you take over the phone calls? And through that, I just got to meet obviously a lot of musicians coming in there, which is great, a lot of local connections, but also a lot of industry professionals. Because, Mickey's Black Box is on the campus of
Rocklitz.
which, houses, Tate, Claire Brothers, Atomic, just all these different companies that are so important in the industry.
Avengers of the sound industry.
Yes, I always call it like the ultimate shopping mall for artists, because they come and plan their tour there and get all their equipment and whatever.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's just this big, and it's crazy that the operations are only started like 7-8 years ago. Like,
and it's still kind of a secret.
No, it really is. People don't realize, when Ariana Grande is at Whole Foods in Lancaster.
That's why. Or when Justin Bieber came to Waffle House in Pennsylvania, right. It's because they're there.
I know. Yeah. So, but it's been great. It's been a great experience there. The whole team there is, really awesome. Yeah, I haven't been there for about a month. I had taken, and it's a part-time job, but I had taken off for about a month just due to some family circumstances, but I'll be back there soon, and I'm excited. I met some really, really cool people there. So
that's great. So outside of all of this, musically, you're like you said, you're kind of ramping up production on an EP.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you have yet to do that you want to do within your industry or your craft?
I think that something that I'll always want to do is just, I mentioned earlier that I took piano lessons when I was young, and I wish that's something that I kept with. Because, as a singer, that, like, when I can't accompany myself, it makes it hard to just perform solo. I have to like rely on other people.
And your music gets better when your proficiency at it instrument gets better.
Exactly. And so that's something that I am pursuing and continue to pursue. Just learning piano, and then I just took up guitar about a month ago, and so that's been really helpful, but also helps my writing process so much. Like, the more I learn, because I can tell you, like, in the beginning, it was like all my songs were in the same key. Like, it was very
same chords,
yeah,
same rhythm,
very repetitive. Yep. And you get really bored of that really quickly. But it's really nice to be in such a environment. Like, Lancaster City just has this very close knit, but also spread apart music community. And there are just people that are so talented that just inspire me to be a better musician, better performer, better vocalist, pianist, because so.
And they're all accessible.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Very much so. Which is surprised even me as a person who was kind of like a nobody in this area. Not to say that I'm a nobody now.
Yeah, I was gonna say everybody knows.
So I'm a transplant. I'm not even from here.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I've only been in the music scene for a year or so.
Okay.
And you wouldn't know that.
I wouldn't, because the reason I even started knew who you were is because I started coming to open mic. Yeah, last year.
And that's how I'm playing with everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, well, I mean, that's another point for artists who want to get out, is to play with anybody and everybody you can. I'm a pianist. Granted, I don't market myself as Like James Clipple, he's a pianist.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not a James Clipple.
I am also not a James Clipple.
Right. I was kind of like you in the sense of like I know if you hand me a chord sheet, I can play that
right.
very well. If you look at me to solo, good luck.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But play around and you know everybody's going out to open mics, especially the one at Tell Us, where a lot of artists come out. A lot of different artists come out.
A lot of different artists come out, but also because it's right down the street from like a major hotel, there's always people that you're just meeting there.
There's always a great act that's just from out of state hopping in and Tell Us for the open mic. And it's incredible to me. And these local people will have you like sit on their sets if they want. But it's always open.
Yeah, it is.
So that's how I got imbued into the system. And then I went around, found out other open mics, found out more people, and then I was like, maybe I should start something about this. And I did.
Yeah, for sure.
And now you wouldn't know that I was, just a lonely, introverted musician who didn't know what to do with his life. And
that's just crazy. I really thought you like were just here all along.
No, I this podcast has only been officially been around for a year.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's awesome though, because look at the growth.
I know. I'm so excited for it. But back to you. Some of the questions I like to ask all my guests. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a Christian.
Yes. Yeah.
Where do you find yourself most in tune with God?
Honestly, just I guess like in my prayer life when I'm praying to God, and it's really easy for me to pray when I'm like outdoors in God's creation. I have a couple places near me that I literally can just like park my car and then walk 10 feet and I'm just under a tree, like viewing a huge marsh. The sky's right there.
Chickies Rock.
It's actually Blue Marsh. I'm like I don't live in the Lancaster area. I live closer like up to Reading area.
I see.
Yeah. And so but yeah, when I'm like in nature, that sounds really silly, but it's true.
I mean, it's true. I mean, if you're gonna go anywhere that's really beautiful, it's got to be nature. Because going in the city, unless it's cherry blossom season,
right?
It's not very pretty.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the you've performed a lot. What are some of the worst things, maybe, or funniest things that's ever happened to you on stage?
I don't know that I've had any recallable experiences that are like me myself, but one thing that a lot of people don't realize because it doesn't exist anymore is I was in a band for a time. I was in a band called Embassy Drive, and it was Millersville kids that already had a band, but then they had asked me to join as a vocalist. And I don't know. I mean, something crazy that happened with us is that we had booked a show. It was like our first show, and they had never played either in Brooklyn, New York. But then the same span of days, like the next day, we had also booked a recording session with Least of All, if you're familiar, recording the original vinyls. Everybody gets their own copy. And so that was like the most chaotic, like 48 hours of our lives, like, going to Brooklyn, playing this show, staying in our Airbnb, then going to, Least of All and play, how it works is people can purchase a certain song. And we had 4 songs available. And what ended up happening is people purchased basically our song Weather like 28 times over. And so you really are in there for hours just playing your song over and over again to print for these copies for vinyl. And it just was like, it was right around Christmas time. And it was just this really like magical 48 hours. And I think that was another moment in my like music life that just reaffirmed like, wow, like I really want to do this, because it was incredible. I remember getting home and being like, what am I doing with my day? Like I was just running around New York City. And so, yeah, nothing like funny or whatever, but that was like one of the most crazy but awesome experiences I've had, just musician wise.
is what I say. A lot of the times, some of the worst things are also some of the best things.
Right,
Absolutely, because
yeah.
I'm sure afterwards you were dead, and you
Oh,
were like,
yeah, I lost my voice.
I'm never doing this ever
Yeah.
again.
Mhm.
But also, if you called me to do it again next week, I'm there.
I'm there. Literally, I'm there. Yeah, and the same thing happened. So we had done that close to Christmas time, maybe like November-ish. And then I went in February, and I can never get the years right, but I went in February, it's probably last February, to then do my own Least of All session, like an Ani Mae session. And silly me was out at a Taylor Swift night, like the night before, yelling all the lyrics. And normally, like, I'm a talkative, loud person. I don't like lose my voice, I lost my voice. And so
course.
I was, nursing my voice back to health and within the next, 12, 14 hours to go then, sing my song over and over again
Which is
for
near
hours.
impossible to nurse your
Yes.
voice that way.
But I mean, I got through it. I think that the takes were decent. Obviously,
good.
that was a learning experience. But then we recorded, which was great. And then I remember the week after that was the Black Excellence Ball at Millersville, and I was singing an Aretha Franklin song, challenging. And
Yeah, right.
so we drove right back to Lancaster and walked right into a rehearsal for that. And I was like, again, like, I am so exhausted and so tired. But if we had to do this tomorrow, like, I would welcome it with open arms. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So that kind of covers a few questions, actually.
Yeah.
What are some of the mistakes that you've seen other artists make, musicians, and coming from a business perspective? What are some of the mistakes that you've seen musicians make, and how can we curb that?
So I think the biggest one goes back to, or the biggest one that I've kind of seen is artists releasing music. It's, I think we write a song, we produce it, we record it, and we're in love with it, and we're just so excited that we want other people to hear it, which is great. I've obviously been there, but then I think that this algorithm of marketing and this suggested time period of marketing your song before it actually comes out that is actually,
Useful.
successful and useful never comes into play. It's like this song out May 19th, Friday, and it's like May 14th. And it's like there's been no time to
There's
get
been
any
no hype,
traction,
no hype.
any hype. And of course, your like core listeners, family, friends, supporting musicians are out there listening to your song, sharing your song, of course. But if you gave it that, 4 to 6 week period where, Spotify for Artists has like a built-in process where you can, submit it for playlisting, whatever.
Curation, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yep.
Reached out to a couple local like radio stations, this kind of thing would be great to go on before the release of anything, I think that would just be so helpful in reaching audiences that don't even know you. But I know it's hard. Like I am the same way. It's so hard for me to sit on anything, but
Well, and also it's also hard from because there's two types of musicians. There's the musicians that just want to play music, don't know anything about business, and then there's the musicians that are all business and not a lot of music.
yeah, right, yeah,
Right? So it's absolutely knowing your craft, knowing what goes into the industry, knowing how to get the most out of the industry as possible, especially with algorithms that you can really manipulate to your advantage.
right, yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, and like they're made for that, and
Mhm.
honestly, if you look into it, like they really tell you step by step how to utilize them properly. And obviously it's a gamble. There's something like something crazy, this number in the thousands of songs that are uploaded to Spotify every day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Like it's
yeah.
not, obviously there's a ton of music out there.
It is one of the best times and the worst times to release music.
Yeah. And that's the thing, but also even just knowing yourself as a musician, like even when like for me, like I'm a singer, I write every day, I am trying to um get better at the instruments that I play, but I'm also just like a 26-year-old girl that, needs to make my car payments. So like I work a full-time job and a part-time job, and obviously we all have our family and friends and, lives outside of everything. And so for me it's like music sometimes isn't at the forefront like I want it to be.
That's okay.
But it's a balance, you know.
Yeah. And speaking on sitting on things, have you seen Wicked?
I haven't seen it, but
You
I know
haven't?
like the music.
So that's my favorite musical of all time.
Yeah.
Wicked. I just literally forgot the name, but the composer for that sat on that for 7 years,
Oh, I had no idea. Yeah, that's crazy.
and it shows.
It really does.
It really does. The music is incredible.
Yeah.
One of my favorite all time composers outside of Elton John. He sat on that for 7 years. And I want to just encourage people, don't be afraid to sit on stuff, because I know you're right, artists hate to do that. But sometimes that song needs a little bit of sitting on, a little bit of warming up.
Right. But to go along with that, so obviously we have the grandiose world of TikTok, right?
Of course.
And so something that I
Grandiose.
even get frustrated with as a listener is when a song is sat on for a while, but like a portion of the song is promoted for like a month and a half. That's like a trend right now
Is it
where
really?
you'll make little videos, little clips, maybe like 15 to 20 seconds of just that part of the song. And you love that part because it's so catchy and you can't wait to hear the full song, right? But this goes on for like a month and a half. You don't get to hear the full song. And what ends up happening, I mean, I'll just say it from my perspective. For me, I hear that section so much that I almost like envision what the rest of the song's like. And then when it finally comes out,
You're disappointed.
almost every time I'm disappointed. Or I'm just like sick of the song at that point. And it's like, how do you find that happy medium? And obviously you don't, because everybody's different and this
Right,
is
of
all
course.
subjective. But just kind of finding the balance between like, okay, you've been teasing this song for 2 months. Like, I think it's time to release.
Yeah, there are a few people on TikTok that I really like the approach of, because they make a skit out of it. Have you ever seen those kind of TikToks where it's like, this guy shouldn't be here. He's just a lonely weirdo who has like a carrot whistle. And then he starts playing it and it's like, oh,
The song, yeah.
it's a song.
Yeah.
And then
But
it's
they're
like,
like
out on
bits, they're
Spotify.
funny.
They're bits. They're
Yeah.
hilarious. They're great. I wish artists did more. I wish artists, I mean, we have creative minds. Use that to every advantage, because I know you can envision what you want, like a music video, or like even you can imagine a bit from a song. Even just listening to the lyrics and just I mean, there's so much you can do. There's literally so much you can do.
There is so much.
You can just write a small acoustic version, or you can just do a little bit of a bit, have it over another video. You can do so many things, and especially with like songs that you don't maybe think are marketable. I don't know. Do you know Reddy Turnstone at all? I'm gonna rant on Reddy Turnstone because I like his songs.
No,
so much.
yeah, I do.
I've been to this dungeon before, right? Have you heard that song of his?
No, I haven't.
It's
specifically.
so good.
Yeah.
And the chorus is, "Oh, I've been to this dungeon before. Oh, it's been a long time, but I've been to this dungeon before." Imagine how many scenarios that lyric could apply to.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
That could be a sound on TikTok just like that.
Right.
If they just used it. If they just I'm gonna hop on Reddy's case, because I believe that song is going places, and it has already gone places.
Right.
But I'm like, use the mediums to your advantage.
Right.
There's not only just Spotify, but you can make a chunk of change on Instagram and TikTok.
No, you can, and I think what happens, and I mean, this is even for me. Like I'm on TikTok. I try to use it, whatever. But I think what happens is you pour so much energy into your music, whether that's like a single EP album or whatever. And then you're finally there where you're like, okay, I'm going to release this. And then you release it. And now the music industry's like, okay, now make a video. Now make a TikTok. Now think of things and post your TikToks, at 12 p.m. every 3 days and continue. And you're like, wait, what? Like, I just spent all this time on this music and it's out. Like, can't people just listen to it? And I feel that way sometimes, but then I also realize like that's just not
That's
the age we live. It just that just doesn't exist. Like it just doesn't. Like if you want to get out there, this is just right now like the way to do it. And it just kind of is what it is.
And the only way you're gonna get your music heard is by grinding it out.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately the world we live in, but it gives you so much more room to be more creative, because I know some people like find that to be work, but I know other people that that don't even know about it, but that would love to do that.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
So
exactly.
and it all depends on the
The
person and
mindset kind of
musician.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, just want to say for anybody listening that goes either way, like either way is fine.
Yeah,
It's
there
totally
there
okay.
is no right way to do it
Yeah.
because you have your own mission behind and you decide for yourself what success means.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking to get your stuff out there is a pretty good way to do that.
Yeah.
And it is by and not only do you can incorporate that addition like TikToks, Instagrams, whatever, as you're writing a song as well. You can
Yeah.
keep thinking of
For
these
sure.
nuggets of bits or
Of ideas.
and
Mhm.
have that track along with your music. So by the end of it, when you're ready to release, you maybe already have all that footage and you
Exactly.
can just schedule it
And even with
be done.
older songs, like I have a few friends, songs have been out for a couple of years that blew up because they went and took those same systems and used them. Something that I think is super helpful to me even now, is I had to read a book in school, and I can't remember the title of it, but the author was Ari Herstand. Do you know who that is? He's like a
Nope.
huge music industry professional, and he really just his success comes from teaching people how to be independent in the music industry.
Mm.
And he is so knowledgeable. He has books, podcasts, everything. And I would encourage people to just really go and look for that knowledge because it is super useful. And these are actual people, successful people in the industry that have used these tactics that are then, sharing them with us. And
I was gonna
it's
say
great.
we're also talking about TikTok, Instagram. All of these are also search engines that you
Yeah.
can use
Yeah.
to figure it out as well.
Right.
It's not like you have to. I mean, granted, paying a course would probably do a lot for you,
Yeah.
but I know people are skeptical about that. Times are tough. There are so many videos on YouTube and TikTok that can help you along with this process as well.
Oh my goodness, exactly. I forget what I needed the other day. I was doing something on Logic, which is another endeavor that I'm, slowly learning. I want to know how to make at least a decent demo right now. That's the goal. But I was trying to find something on there just how to do something. And I like tried to call my friend to ask them, but they weren't available. And I just ended up looking it up on YouTube. And I honestly thought like, oh, I'm just going to swarm through these videos and the answer's not going to be on there. But it's so funny. Even the way I typed in the question, it was like a video for exactly what I needed,
Right.
And I know it sounds like super basic and mundane, like look it up on YouTube, but like actually look it up on YouTube.
Like literally
it's there.
Google it.
Yeah.
It's literally there.
It's there.
You wouldn't believe it, but it's there.
Yeah. Like if you've had the question, and many people have also had the question. So
we're kind of running out of time. Where can people find you at?
yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. There's like my main. They're all Ani Mae Music, and you can find me on any streaming platform. Yeah.
Don't you have a website, animemusic.com?
I don't. I have a link tree.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, be sure to check her out there. I have her link tree. I do believe I have a few things of yours linked in the
There's
description
a couple
below.
links on there.
Just wanted to apologize for the mishap in the beginning, but hey, things happen.
Rolling with the punches.
Rolling with the punches. We do it live here, and that's a blessing and a curse. But all of that will be uploaded at some point later this week, so we'll get you on that. With all that said, my name is Corey Rose, and this is the Story Podcast. And you can find all of my stuff, my music, productions, everything that I do at CoreyRosenProductions.com. That is CORYROSEN Productions.com. We have a really heavy week this week of podcasts, which I'm really excited to show. We have Debo coming on tomorrow. He is a wonderful. Do you know about Debo?
No.
I was going to say, you would probably like him. He's an all-in-one musician, composer, producer, everything. He does everything to his music. It mixes, mastering, everything. One-man show. And he's a funk dude. He just won CPMA awards recently.
Okay.
Incredible dude and an incredible community worker as well. So we're going to check him out then. Then Tuesday, we have the Jess Zimmerman Band coming back on after they just recorded their new album over in Nashville. They had their whole thing in Florida. Really excited to get back into the weeds with Jess and see what she's been up to. And you'll also be able to hear some sneak peeks from her new album coming out too. So
okay.
So be sure to tune in for there, and I'll make sure that we're not muted. then
Learning from our mistakes.
Right, okay, right. Of course, that's how you learn is by making mistakes. And now I'll forever be able checking if we're muted or not. Wednesday we have Matt Friedman. He's a really popular country guy from the Reading area. I'm super excited to talk to him and his journey. He's done the rounds in the country circuit, and I'm really excited to learn what all of that is like. And this Thursday we have Sean Murphy, Mr. Motivation. He is a rapper and the artist, Sir Dominic Jordan, shortly.
Yeah.
He's got kind of in that similar vein where he goes to urban school centers and helps the students there get over, poverty, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, issues that they have in the urban centers. So I'm really excited to talk to him and get his perspective within that kind of scene. And then next Sunday we have 2 podcasts. We have Darker with Daniel, which is another podcast around here. That is one of that guy runs the CPMA podcast, the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast. So I'm really excited to talk to them, cross-pollinate with them. They were great guys that I got to meet at the CPMAs, and really excited to talk to them. And then we have Aaron Pearson, who runs Anchor's End. Yes, Anchor's End. It's a acoustic metal band.
Ooh.
Which you think it's hard to do
acoustically. Yeah.
With an acoustic
I'm
guitar.
interested to see what that sounds like.
So I'm very interested to see what that sounds like as well. So that'll all be posted on social medias. You can find me at quarterversionproduction.com if you'd like. And with all that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.